All right, so here we are, back at it. Anthony and Alex back to talk stuff, back by popular demand. It's been crazy.
Back on that grind. Back
Yep,
on that
yep,
grind.
yep, back on the grind. I mean, we never really left the grind, to be fair.
I'm on the Insta grind.
You are on that grind. It's the demand has been crazy. I can't even walk down the street anymore at this point without being, which is weird because we're not like our faces aren't being seen, but somehow people know what we look like. So it's just
They know
crazy.
the voice. They know the voice.
But that's also weird because I'm not speaking on the street. It's like they just sense it. They just sense the greatness, I guess.
Maybe that boombox you have that plays our podcast. Maybe that's what people are coming up to you about.
I definitely have been trying to get plays, and so I carry a big JVC boombox with me throughout Manhattan.
That's good. That's good.
I like to stand out.
Get some change at Fifth Ave.
Yeah, I love attention, so it's great to get that. But yeah, the demand has been high. Appreciate the support and all that other good stuff, and yeah, I guess that's all I have to say on that. What do you have to say about some stuff? You want to talk some stuff? Should we talk some stuff? I just want to say talk stuff a whole bunch until we start talking about stuff.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
well, you know what? Now we're recording this on Wednesday night, 27th, so I don't want to get too many people to bash us if crazy things happen. But today I just saw so much like coming out.
Yeah,
about,
just like all that. Sorry, not to cut you off. If anybody happens to say anything, I recognize Germany is out of the World Cup. Don't act like you didn't think Germany was going to win it or go super far. We all thought it. Everybody thought it. People make mistakes.
It's not happening, bud. It's not happening.
But
it's not happening.
Like, who saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming. Germany, okay. But I'm just, as a preface.
All right, stop digressing. Stop digressing. If you lose twice and barely win another game, you don't deserve to be in. All right.
I didn't say they did, but like, who thought they were going to be out right now? Come on.
Anyway, what we've been hearing a lot, especially today, but leading up to this weekend, is a lot about NBA free agency, which starts on Sunday, July the 1st.
Correct.
And the 29th is the last day, this Friday, the 29th, last day, which is today. Last day that free agents can opt out if they need to or opt in.
Oh, I get it. You said today because people are going to listen to it on Friday because we're launching it on Friday. I got real confused. I was like, today is not Friday.
Yeah, well, you don't understand how it works.
Some of the listeners, I'm just doing it for them out there. Like, I understood the whole thing, but, that's all about clarification. Continue your thing. You're doing great.
All right. So, latest news that has happened, at least up until 9/11 on the night of Wednesday. Thanks, Anthony. Jesus.
Sorry. 9/11 Eastern time.
What seems to be happening is that Kawhi and his whole situation with the Spurs seems to be the main domino that has to fall before everything else can get solved.
The LeBron domino is not the main domino?
No, it is not right now.
Oh, okay.
So as of right now, the Spurs have gotten offers from the Celtics, the Cavaliers, the Sixers, and the Clippers.
Yeah, baby, which I thought very interesting. Not that it was like crazy. I thought it was interesting that the Clippers made the Austin Rivers trade.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was like, is that a thing for Kawhi? Is that a thing for
Kawhi? That probably only happened because Doc's not the GM anymore. But
good job.
So those are the teams. I mean, I always thought like the Clippers were kind of like the dark horse in a lot of this because obviously they are an LA-based team,
like
but
an
it's
actual dark horse, or just like the dark horse to say dark horse. Because I don't see I see them being like a player, but at the same time, I don't think. I don't know.
They're just a player based on location.
And Jerry West, Jerry West is there. That's a pretty cool thing.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that matters. I mean, it's just
I just don't see Kawhi or LeBron or somebody being like, well, I always wanted to go to LA, so let me go to the Clippers. I feel like they're going to be like, well, if I'm going to go to LA, I might as well go to the Lakers.
Well, unless they talk to each other and plan a move similar to like Miami. Oof. All right, let me finish with this. God.
Sorry, I get excited.
Yeah, geez. Okay, so in the beginning, though, the Spurs had said they were unwilling
Yes.
to
No.
trade him in the Western Conference.
No West teams.
And yes,
And that
and
might hurt the
they have,
Clippers even more because Jerry West's last name is West. So that's like two
Jesus.
negatives.
Right. That is true. That is true.
Keep going.
But they've since kind of went back on that, and now they're willing to have some trade partners in the West. But right now it's just Boston, Cleveland, Sixers, Clippers. There have been conversations with the Spurs and Lakers. They went very poorly, and the door was shut as of a few days ago, maybe even yesterday. But as of today, as of just actually right now, apparently they are talking again.
Gross.
So we'll see what comes of that. The main why the main domino is not LeBron like he has suggested is only because he is, from sources and things I've heard or whatever, he's just unwilling to commit to a place if like say the Lakers, he's unwilling to be the first person to commit.
Well, yeah, because he's so gun shy of being the fucking like end all be all like he just was for an entire season. I could see him like trying to be like, well, do some stuff first, and then I'll see what happens.
Well, he just doesn't. I mean, I get it if you're him. Like you didn't
completely get it.
You don't have Kawhi, you don't have Paul George. I'm just here with a bunch of young guys.
Yes.
Like, well, what's going on?
Yes.
So he wants, and it also came out earlier this week, he doesn't want these big elaborate shows, these big long meetings. He wants to be a very quick process. So he would just wants everybody to get their house in order, and then he'll, make his decision part 3. The decision, everyone thinks the decision right now is going to be on July 3rd. Because it has to happen before July 4th, because last time, it's very similar to last time he made a decision. He likes to have the July 4th holiday, / he wants things over very quickly.
This fucking guy.
So it will be on July 3rd. And also, I learned this morning that in kind of, always with LeBron, with a PR twist,
always.
That the trailer for Space Jam 2 comes out on July 4th.
I was not expecting this. This piece.
Space Jam 2 trailer comes out on July 4th. So I think in order to get some buzz going into July 4th, making the decision on July 3rd makes sense. There's always a marketing twist. There's always a PR twist with LeBron.
Always. Never just straightforward.
All right. So I wanted to dig in. Do you have anything on LeBron, or what do you think about that?
Everything you just told me, I find is very interesting. I mean, I think based on what you said with the Kawhi thing and the LeBron thing, I think there's only like a couple real players for everything. Those are like my thoughts.
You're right. And a lot of it's because of contract space, because the summer of 2016 really messed everyone up.
Pieces for trades.
Assets.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Just because Kawhi's a trade.
Correct.
He's not just a purchase.
And what's also interesting with the Kawhi piece is if Kawhi really wants to play in LA, whether that's the Clippers or the Lakers or like whatever we're going with, and if he's really committed to that in 2019, like, who's going to go crazy and trade a bunch of shit for him right now, knowing that, like, well, he might not re-sign with us in a year, or he might be gone in a year. Like, I'm not ready. I think the Celtics and the Sixers second have, like, the most pieces and the most assets and the most flexibility with cap and everything in order to make the Kawhi deal a real thing and happen. But if I'm the Celtics, like, I'm not going to be like, cool, I'm not going to fuck up Jaylen Brown and Tatum and Hayward and Horford and Rozier and Kyrie and my whole core that I just went to the Eastern Conference Finals without my 2 best players. I'm not going to fuck up all that for a guy for 1 year who might not even come back the next year. Like, but granted, I don't know, maybe they send Kyrie back or something like that because Kyrie isn't committed. Like, I would just be very wary if I were a team like that to be like, well, I'm not going to throw all my stuff for Kawhi because if he's not going to re-sign with us anyway, like, that means we got to win the chip like this year, or it's like kind of a waste.
Well, I just think with the Sixers and the Celtics, I wouldn't change anything on those teams. I know they come up huge in like the rumor mill just because they have all this young talent. They have pieces that they could trade away and stuff like that. But if I was them, I would just sit I would just sit and just continue to grow the players that I have, look at, good things, but I wouldn't make huge moves. I wouldn't make Kawhi moves. I wouldn't make LeBron moves. I just wouldn't. I think they're already in good places and they're growing and they're getting better and they just need like little things here and there. I don't want LeBron to show up on the Sixers and mess up, any chemistry like Simmons
he could show up and totally mess up Ben Simmons' jump shot.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, now it's like, say in that situation, right? Now LeBron's gonna have the ball in his hands more,
which fucks up
and and Ben's gonna be off ball. That's not necessarily what you want. I want him to prove off ball, but I'd rather have the ball in Ben's hands. And then even as
Ben
young
Simmons
players,
at this point cannot play off ball. Like that does not work.
Yeah, I mean he's got to obviously grow his game. I mean. A little bit. Everyone knows that a little bit. You continue to like work on things. I mean, LeBron didn't have a 3-pointer or really a reliable like 18-footer for like how many years in the beginning of his career. Yes. So I mean, it is what it is. You got to continue to grow, but I don't want to like stunt their growth really by bringing somebody that's going to just be, for lack of a better term, like a black hole as far in like a good way. But like he's going to draw all the attention. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be making the decisions, and maybe that stunts the growth of all these like younger guys. So I understand it. They have the pieces. Everyone likes just talking about the trades and the moves and stuff. But if I was the Celtics and 76ers, I'd just be like hands off.
I think Kawhi fits better with all these. I think Kawhi, like the best fit out of everything, is Kawhi to the Celtics because of how great he is defensively. And offensively, I think he would fit in pretty well with Brad Stevens' system and make the Celtics pretty beast. But again, I'm in the same kind of boat. Like, I think you have to fuck up a lot of stuff to add LeBron, and then you have to risk a lot to get Kawhi if he's not going to stay with you long term. Like, if I were the Celtics and you told me, like, okay, we can trade, X amount of things for Kawhi and he'll re-sign long term and stay here, I would do that deal like in a heartbeat.
There's no deal that is happening with Kawhi that isn't a wink similar to Chris Paul last season. There's no 1-year rental on this.
Well, but what I'm saying is, like, if you knew for sure, so that's cool then. Like, if they have a wink or like a handshake agreement, like, cool, I get it.
Yeah, but there's definitely not.
Okay, so that's
unless
what I'm saying.
They trade him somewhere, unless they traded him to like the Pacers or trade him to some place that's not on his list, or whatever. There would be no way, no team would do that. I mean, that's basically why Kyrie didn't go to the Suns.
So that's what I'm saying. So then if like that's the case, then I would do that deal in a heartbeat if I were the Celtics. I'm not getting rid of Hayward. I'm not getting rid of Tatum. I'm not getting rid of Horford. But everything else like is pretty much fair game for me if I were the Celtics.
I don't know. Everyone's like, okay. So here's my opinion. I'm not really high in Kawhi right now.
Oh my God, he's the second best player in the world.
No, he's not. Let's not go into your Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant's third.
Okay.
As long as he has other people
I
save his pussy bullshit.
I mean, not really.
I can't believe you put in the fucking podcast description for the Super Teams episode that I lament about fucking Kevin Durant.
We did for like a half hour. That was like a half hour of that episode.
Oh, dear. Oh, man. That was... continue. I can't believe it. Piece of shit.
Here's my thing.
Judas.
Okay, here's my thing with Kawhi is maybe before he was injured and he could be a top 3 player, correct?
Top 2.
Obviously defensively amazing.
He was the best all-around player in basketball. At the very worst. Even if you want to say like he was top 5 or top 2 or top 3, whatever. He was the best all-around player in the NBA, offensively and defensively. Best all-around player in the game.
I would still say, and not that I like him or anything, but I would still say LeBron, when he wants to play defense, is the best.
Yes, but see, that's the thing. Like, when he wants to, and if he can, Kawhi literally does it nonstop. Kawhi goes out and gives you 25 and 8 and 5, and then on the defensive end guards the other team's best player and fucks him up and kind of shuts him down, or at least makes him, at the very worst, makes him inefficient. And he does that night in and night out. Which is why I put him ahead of LeBron.
That's nice, but I don't know if I'm getting that guy.
Oh, because of
I don't know if that guy is that person anymore.
Because of physically?
Yeah. Like whatever's going on with the it's not even that. It's not even like just the physical quad, which was weird, and obviously he looked nothing like himself in that 9-game stretch earlier in the season.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And then he just like shut it down. But I'm just saying, like, mentally, I just don't know where he's at right now. Like, this seems to be some weird Andrew Luck kind of thing where it's like, okay, when he's out there, yeah, he's like amazing. Not to say like, and Andrew Luck could be like a top 5 quarterback in the league, correct? Like if he's healthy and everything's going smooth and he actually has weapons, right?
Yeah, at the very worst, top 5, even without weapons.
Right.
Like he's just had T.Y. Hilton and a bunch of shit, and he was top 5.
But I just think there's like a mental aspect, you know. It's like
you don't know if he can overcome the mental aspect.
I don't know, because it's clear that other people are in his head, right? I mean, that's clear, right?
Or
he would be like,
or something.
He would most likely stay with the Spurs. I mean, it's an organization that everyone talks about with such like reverence, and like, you know, the length of time that a lot of people in the organization have stayed there, and he's treating it, and everyone's just taken aback really by this situation. Everyone's it's almost like he is like the best player on like the 1990s Clippers, and everyone, you know, or something. It's like so weird. It's like you wouldn't think this from
you have like
this would happen on a team where he was, you know, where he was a Finals MVP, he won titles, like.
But he's also a very like, Kawhi is a quiet guy. He keeps to himself. He doesn't really talk a lot. He stays out of the spotlight for a lot of things. Maybe
he's not though. Maybe he's like got this Durant in him.
No, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, I see him as like a person who, because he keeps to himself, he's very like just about the game and like loves the game, and he's like a very loyal,
like Durant.
Okay, whatever. He's a very loyal, like down to earth guy. If
he's
something
a
goes
very
wrong,
loyal guy.
Yeah, but yeah, and
he's
feels
a very loyal guy.
He feels hard done by the Spurs shit, and he feels lied to and misled, which is the whole source of everything here.
Under no circumstances, I don't even care if you feel misled by Pop or the coach or Buford or whoever you feel, that you don't show up on the bench for the playoffs for your teammates.
He feels like the organization fucked him. I'm not saying he's right.
And you go to a Dodgers game instead.
He feels the organization fucked him.
There's no, that's beyond like.
I get it. I recognize how, I'm not saying he's right, but in his mind, like, I think he feels that he got fucked by that organization and they potentially ruined his career or fucked him up a little bit for their own, like, immediate return and lack of concern about him. And I think that turned him off, like, and made him go sideways. I'm not saying that his decision making and his process throughout this has been right and he's been correct, but that's like, I think that's what it is. And I think that's the main reason of him wanting to go back to LA, is him wanting to kind of go home and feel comfortable and be like with himself and family and like all that stuff, or be closer to people who he trusts, because he feels like he's surrounded by people he can't trust right now.
I just don't want that person. I don't think he can be the person everyone thinks he used to be. I don't think he's going to be that player anymore.
Because of mental some reason and physical, or just mental?
A lot of it mental. Because I don't think. I mean, playing in San Antonio, granted, they're a very successful organization, but like if you go to San Antonio, they're very like small team mentality. It's not like this. We're not talking like New York, LA, bright lights. No, this is your team. What are you going to do?
No.
Like,
which is why I also thought
LeBron thing.
I also thought he would be a better fit in the Clippers than the Lakers, because he can still be in LA, but isn't really like in LA, if you know what I mean.
That's what I'm saying. He has to be under the radar. I mean, I'm sure the only thing I assume is he has people in his head telling him, hey, like everyone else is getting these deals. Why aren't you getting these deals? Like,
yeah, but if that's everyone the case, he would have stayed with the Spurs then, because that's the biggest max deal he can get.
No. I don't mean that. I mean shoe deals, sponsorship deals, like all that kind of stuff. Like, hey, you know, LeBron does this, Durant's doing this.
How come you're not speaking for Sprite? How come you don't have a soda that backs you up?
Yeah, and I just think people are in his head. It's like, you know, the reason you're not doing that is not because of your ability or anything. It's because you're just a really unassuming kind of. You're not putting yourself out there. You're not like screaming in the camera, making a show or whatever. I mean, it's hard to. How do you market that? I guess like how do you market his. Yeah, how do you market his, like, robotness?
Yeah, he's the epitome of, like, show up, clock in, work hard, and play well, clock out, go home. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
I
don't
think
know.
is awesome. I think that's sweet.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm sure they can't just play off of like being like, I guess, a robot or whatever. But I don't know how you like market that or how you assume that that's going to translate to you in the pecking order.
Yeah, and how does that succeed in the Showtime Lakers LA bright lights? Like, how does that like? I don't think
it doesn't unless you.
Well.
It really doesn't unless you're the second or third banana.
But he wouldn't be the second or third banana. The only way he's going to be the second or third banana in LA is if it's LeBron.
Exactly. Exactly.
So do you think they end up together?
What?
Do you think they end up together wherever they go?
No, I never thought they'd all.
So where do you think LeBron ends up, and where do you think Kawhi ends up?
Kawhi will end up. That's a good question. Obviously, in one of those teams. I mean, I always thought he'd end up in
one of the teams in the NBA.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess is one of the teams in the NBA.
Either the Western or Eastern Conference.
But what does it do? I truly think that LeBron is gonna stay put at this point.
You know what's funny is
I've
been thinking that the last couple 2-3 days. I'm really thinking that he's just gonna stay in Cleveland. At first, last year at this time, I thought he was going to LA.
Only because I think if Altman can get his ducks in a row, it's easier to get Kawhi to Cleveland. I'm saying that, but they're very hamstrung by the salary cap and their luxury tax because they're paying all these dudes that LeBron loves, like Tristan Thompson and JR and all these guys.
I was going to make a thigh hamstring joke when you say hamstring, but I didn't.
But there's only so maybe it's easier if they just get Kawhi and then LeBron stays home. Obviously, they have to get rid of Love and a bunch of other pieces just to even make the math work out.
I'd do that in a fucking heartbeat.
Because their tax is so crazy. And I'm wondering if they can even really pull it off. Obviously, they have a trade out there. I highly doubt it's one of the better trades.
That was my thing. When I saw the people who listed stuff for possible trade partners to the Spurs, I was immediately like, what the fuck are the Cavs going to give? And the Clippers, the same thing. I was like, what are they offering? At least the Clippers have DeAndre Jordan. Like, they can do a signing trade and put him up there. Like, and that would be sweet, I guess.
They'd have to basically do a sign and trade. But I mean, as we're going to go through in a little bit, I mean, there's other options for DeAndre Jordan out there, I think. Here, I want to go through some other notable guys before we can maybe touch back on LeBron or Kawhi or notable free agent guys. Durant, obviously, but from everything, obviously, he said immediately afterwards that he was going to stay there.
Well, of course, he can't be the guy because he's soft and overrated.
Well, there it is.
Yep.
Well, I kind of think that about Kawhi. I guess
that's fair. You also thought the Sixers were going to come back and beat the Celtics, so it is what it is.
I did. You got Paul George, obviously, is out there.
Didn't they just say that he's not going to go? Like it looked like it was a slam dunk that he was going to go to the Lakers, and now
it was almost one of those. Well, by default,
yeah.
It was like what was that? That was when Amari Stoudemire went to the Knicks. It was like try everything else, but by default, we'll at least get Amari Stoudemire, and that's what the Lakers were like. Okay, at least by default, we're going to get Paul George, but. I saw a little bit out there that he might sign with the Thunder, and I was like, why?
With your boy Russell Westbrook.
Oh God! But I was like, why? I don't understand what could have happened there that would have made him think that was a.
They got bounced in the first round by the Jazz, right? Yeah,
that they did.
Stay with the Thunder, I wouldn't stay there.
But once again, if he's. Maybe that's not a bad move. If he's here and LeBron's going to stay put, he can't get with Kawhi somewhere. What's he going to be, the solo banana on the Lakers with Julius Randle and Lonzo, and all that kind of pressure, and waiting just basically for the next free agent season? I can see that because he would be the guy on that team. He would be the 1A.
Yeah, but if you're going to hear that LeBron's going to stay put in Cleveland, go to Cleveland.
I don't think they can make the math work out.
If they can make the math for Kawhi, they can make the math for Paul George.
No. Paul George is going to get a new contract because he's unrestricted. Kawhi's contract isn't up until next year.
Right, but we're still doing the thing with assuming that wherever Kawhi goes, there's like a wink or a handshake agreement that he's going to sign a long-term deal there. So if they have the deal, if they have the money for Kawhi a year, they can still flex something now.
Correct. What I'm saying is the actual money in this upcoming season might be detrimental or like a deterrent to sign George, who's going to immediately get, I don't know, whatever it is, 22, 25, whatever it is up front. Whereas Kawhi has a little bit of a better player, team friendly deal, at least for another year before the big contract. So trying to, make all those pieces work. I would go after, I would just go after Kawhi before I'd go after Paul George if you're cap strung.
Yeah, I would completely agree.
Chris Paul, obviously everyone thinks he's going to resign. It was like a wink deal they had last summer. I think everyone kind of knows that. And their cap's getting kind of tough too because they have Clint Capella as well. It's interesting. It's kind of like that situation where it's like, well, you just need one team. So because somebody could come out of left field, the Pacers or somebody weird and just throw a crazy offer out there, and Houston probably won't be able to match. But
it doesn't matter even if Houston does anyway. They can't get past Golden State.
I think they can if they
James
just
Harden
if
is
they're
the
just
Peyton
healthy.
Manning of the NBA. He's going to put up awesome regular season numbers and do a bunch of flashy shit. And when push comes to shove, he will not get championships.
They would have won last year. I don't think, and I think that's the consensus. Like the way they were playing in those games, if Paul doesn't go down, I definitely think they're going to win.
It was closer, and it was like back and forth. I still think Golden State finds a way to pull that shit out and comes out like Can Houston can't let Chris Paul. They don't have the money to let Chris Paul walk and then sign LeBron, do they?
No, actually the theory was okay, so the Houston one, which obviously that's still up in the air too as far as making the math work, but Houston is on the radar.
Right. But it's super complicated.
It's complicated, but it's they're lucky that they have Morey there because he's like a cap genius, and they could make it work where they still had Harden, Paul, and LeBron.
Oh, where they keep all three of them.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that would be the that's definitely on the table. Like that was one of the options. Like, hey, if you want if you want rings, like one of those like situations. Like, do you want to spend time? Do you want to try to be the mogul and the businessman? Then you'd go tell one of the LA teams. If you wanted 2 rings in the next 4 years, something like that, you'd probably go to the Rockets.
Yeah.
If you wanted to stay, you wanted to stay at home and do all those things, you would stay with the Cavs.
I want LeBron to go to Golden State. I think that'd be fucking ridiculous and awesome. It would destroy everything. I want chaos.
Then they were like, if you wanted to
break the NBA, go to the Warriors.
Oh yeah, God,
that would be awesome.
I don't think they would. What you already won. You just, exactly. Your dynasty.
Exactly.
Is not, no,
break it, destroy everything.
No, there's no saying that you get better. You're just saying break it because you don't want them to be together.
No, I think if LeBron goes to Golden State, that would be insane. They would probably break the Bulls' record for wins in the regular season. They would destroy everything.
What do you mean? The Warriors have the regular season record.
They did it that year? They won 73?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
come on, man. Get it together. They don't need them.
Oh, yeah, they didn't win the championship that year.
Right. Yeah, it's like they won. Here's their last 4 seasons. They won 3 championships, and the year they didn't, they won 73 games. Who else? Boogie. But that one's a very difficult one. I guess the Pelicans are kind of, I don't want to say trapped with him. They seem to want him. I don't know if anybody else is willing to pay that much money to a center who just tore his Achilles. You have no idea how well he's going to come back from that, especially as a rebounding center who is not the most in shape person to begin with.
Yeah,
so
he's not exactly an awesome guy.
Yeah, it's a really bad timing for that injury. He's still going to get paid, and I think the Pelicans are going to do it. So
Doesn't
I guess
he want to go back to Sacramento?
No.
No.
No, he liked it with the Pelicans. He liked it with Anthony
Okay.
Davis. They were
Well,
rolling. I
yeah,
mean,
I
they
would
were
like
both.
playing with Anthony Davis too.
Yeah, I mean, they were both kicking ass at one point. It was like it was great. I mean, the Pelicans ended up with a fifth seed. I mean, you have Boogie for the full season. Now, how good is he going to be? Is it going to be a full season? All that kind of stuff. But if you had a healthy Boogie on that team, and I guess they kept the magic going. I mean, they definitely could be somebody to fear in the playoffs.
Yeah, they could be good. I mean, they
DeAndre
waxed the shit
Jordan.
out of Portland without Boogie, so
Yeah, yeah.
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan. I mean, if I had to, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I would say he's going to revisit that Mavs conversation, which he took and then backed out.
Yeah, like wow. Yeah, that was terrible.
I know. I think he's going to revisit that. You got Marcus Smart, who I know the Celtics would love to have. They just love him, like culture-wise, things he does on defense, grit, all that kind of stuff.
I liked him a lot in Oklahoma State.
I'd be very surprised if he went somewhere else, but you never know who just throws in a crazy offer. And then the other guy that I can think of is JJ Redick coming off. He's
gross.
What? He's great. Oh, Duke, I get it.
I don't like him because he went to Duke and then he was on the Clippers, and one night it was like, oh, he went 5 for 7. Yeah, but then I mainly don't like him because of his performance for the Clippers. One night he would go 5 for 7 from 3, and the next night he would be like 1 of 12.
Well, they weren't a good team. I don't care how much lipstick you really put on them.
Stop. That is not a pig lipstick situation.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Those are just parts that couldn't win. It's similar to the Atlanta Hawks team.
No, they were way better than those Hawks teams.
It's just a lot of parts that weren't going to ever win together, but it looks nice on paper.
They were better than it looked good on paper.
You know what? He can definitely help a lot of teams out, just being like a veteran 3-point shooter.
He'll sign somewhere that sucks because someone will pay him a boatload of money. Like he'll go to like Atlanta for like 3 years, $50 million.
No, actually, he only ended up. He only signed with Philly because he didn't want to uproot his family. So I'm wondering if that goes into the decision this time around too. He actually lives in Brooklyn now, and he hasn't wanted to kind of move his kids out of school and keep doing that since they moved. Well, the thing is, I was like, okay, I'm guessing that leads him back to Philly because he's not going to want to take. He's not going to want to be on the Nets or the Knicks.
Oh, I can see him, but I can see him signing to the Nets for like 3 years, $50 million.
I mean, they don't. I mean, the Nets might have that money. There's not a lot of teams that have like tons of money. I could just see him. I mean, I could actually just see him taking a smaller contract and staying with Philly. I don't really. I could totally see that. So. Something else I want to touch on was this is kind of a tale of 2 seasons, as like Magic Johnson keeps harping on that. If we fail, he keeps saying, if I fail this year, I still have next year, basically.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out a couple free agents coming up next year. That's kind of if I'm sure teams are thinking about this as well. Obviously, you have Kawhi's contract. But he's going to get that situated with whatever team he ends up going to. There's a couple of restricted free agent guys, which I believe will just end up with the same team. Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, and Porzingis are all on restricted deal free agents. I don't see them going anywhere. No. Jimmy Butler, Marc Gasol, and Al Horford all have player options.
Well, Horford will stay. Gasol probably stays.
We'll see. We'll see. Gasol had a little. I know he had a little bad beef with that, but it was with the coach, I think, more so than the organization. So I'm wondering. Kemba's unrestricted, and then
Kemba's unrestricted this year.
Next year.
Okay, yeah, next year.
And then the big 3, I guess, for next year are Kevin Love has a player option, depending on what happens. He might end up getting traded in some sort of form or fashion, but it'll be on a 1-year rental, and then he has, and then he'll be a free agent. Clay is an unrestricted free agent, and they're gonna have to figure out that. It seems like he would like to stay there. He's kind of the guy who would just like I totally see willing to like take less just to kind of make the thing keep happening.
I can see that.
And Kyrie is the big piece for next year.
That's a decent class 2 years in a row.
Yes.
It's like the baseball one. Next year for free agency is going to be nuts between baseball and basketball. Oof.
Yeah, man.
And there's a good NFL free agency class coming out next year too.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I always like this time. I mean, NBA. I love NBA. So it's just I don't know. It's going to be this weekend's going to just be crazy.
So when the dust clears and everything's settled, where is Paul George? Where is LeBron? Where is Kawhi? And wherever Kawhi is, you need to say what the trade was that got Kawhi.
Okay.
You start with the easy one. Start with the free agents. So start with LeBron, and then go to George, and then go to Kawhi.
Oh, thanks. Do I have to go in that order?
Yep.
Paul George is going to be in the Thunder.
Start with LeBron. So Paul George stays with the Thunder.
LeBron is going to be on the Cavs.
Okay.
And the Spurs are going to sit on Kawhi.
They're going to keep
the best deal possible.
Okay, but then when does he end up? So where does he end up? And when? Does he get traded before the season starts?
It seems like that since they're taking so many offers, I just think knowing them, they don't want to get completely like fleeced, like Cleveland did on this deal. Of course. So, I mean, what does it really harm them to? I mean, you didn't have Kawhi all last year. What does it really harm them just to sit on, try to get the best deal possible to the All-Star break? I guess just in this day and age, that's not going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, he gets traded before the season to the Clippers.
Really? I want to
see the pieces.
I would be so fucking pumped. All right, so yeah, who goes to the Spurs?
What do you mean who goes to the Spurs?
Who did they trade for Kawhi?
That's what I'm trying to think as far as the Clips. I don't know what trade. I want to hear some of these trades. What these trades have out there. What, a sign-in trade?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if I was the Spurs, I want to be trading with the Celtics.
Yeah. Probably.
Because I want the draft picks.
Yeah, and like Jaylen Brown or somebody.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't know if you can get him. I mean, I think you could easily get Rozier because I think his stock is at the ultimate peak zenith, and I don't think it's going to get any better.
That's a big word.
I don't know. It's interesting. I just got to get more fallout. I mean, if it's my guess, I guess as an organization, he would go to the Celtics. I don't know how they work that out. Like who plays what position. I don't know why some of these teams are doing this, but
I don't know why they're doing this.
Yeah, I know. But I think it goes to the Clippers. I guess in my mind, I think it goes. He wants to be in LA. He's not going to get to the Lakers. They don't have enough. It's already kind of contentious between them, and so that leads me to the Clippers. And what are you going to give back to them? You're going to give back some draft picks because you think the Clippers are going to be awful, and you're going to give back some expiring contracts and stuff of that ilk. I don't really know what else you would you get back. I'm not an NBA genius. I don't.
Is DeAndre going back? Is DeAndre going back in that trade? Is he going to the Spurs? Or is he already out by that point? He's already signed.
Only if he has to. Yeah, only if he has to.
And I think he would be cool with that. I think he'd be cool with that because he would get paid and he would still get to go home. I know it's not Houston, but he still gets to go home to Texas. And the Spurs are sweet.
No. Hey, I would definitely. I mean, you got you and Aldridge or whatever. I mean, sure, run back the Twin Towers if you want. Sure.
I would take that. Ooh, that would be very interesting. I'd be very happy with that. But I mean, not like the Clippers, so I guess I'm biased. I don't know where I've increasingly been feeling like LeBron stays. I really don't know where I think Kawhi is going to go.
Mystery.
It really
Mystery
is.
Man.
Because there's all like, oh, well, it makes sense here, or it makes sense here, or it makes sense with this. Like, I don't see him going with his, like, wanting to be in LA and then, like, his personal stuff and how he feels. I don't see him going farther east, even though it might make sense, like, career-wise or, like, anything. I just don't see him going to Boston or something far. Like I don't, literally the opposite of LA. Like I don't see that. And then, whew, Magic's gonna push so hard for him. That would be such a death sentence for Magic after him saying like, "Well, we have to get Kawhi, or we're doing this this in 2008 or 2018, 2019, blah blah blah." And then for Kawhi to end up with like the Clippers and sign a long-term deal with the Clippers, oh my god, that's like shooting Magic Johnson in the face. That's fucking terrible. Like on the way to like the Clippers section of the building at the Staples Center, like Kawhi might as well like stop at Magic's office and just kill him, so Magic doesn't have to do it himself, and then just go finish meeting with Jerry West.
I wonder if the Clippers, they seem like the one team that might take him on a rental.
Yeah, but then I feel like he would just resign there.
That's what they think too. That's why maybe you play that game.
But I can't see.
And then you get the Clippers and Lakers fighting over you next summer.
I can't see anybody doing the whole like I'm going to trade for Kawhi and do this without some law. I don't see Jerry West doing that. Or maybe he does because he banks on the whole like mystique of it or something. But they had that situation with Blake. I think they want more. Jerry's not that kind of dude. I think he wants out of the yearly figuring things out. He wants to have a core. He wants to build through the draft. They got really good picks this year. They've remade their team a little bit and have like some solid pieces to do some damage. I feel like I don't know if Jerry West would want to be like, well, we're going to trade this and do that. I don't see him getting back into the game that he just pulled them out of, that Doc had them in. Not that that's necessarily the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that would be very interesting. Oh god, that would be so terrible for Magic Johnson. Oh, that would be funny as shit. Well, not for him. And LeBron stays with the Cavs. Do the Cavs add anybody else via free agency or do anything, or they're just rocking with the same team they had last year?
Oh, absolutely not. If LeBron goes back to the team, it might be a full blow up again.
Oh boy! And do you have any ideas as to where that leads them with stuff?
No, because their salary situation is so horrible. Obviously, you can trade Love because he's an expiring, but I mean, okay, that gets you, $20 million, whatever, but now you have increasing salaries of all these other guys, almost albatrosses, can't move contracts. I don't know. That's that thing with LeBron is like you clear all this room and you get him, and then he wants his guys in place with, and he wants to get his guys paid. And when he like leaves, you're just left with this desolate, like post Armageddon, team, and you're digging yourself out for the next 5 years.
True. I mean, they're already not. Oh. I feel like if wherever LeBron, that would be such a hard thing for them to do. That's the only thing of like, I think of him potentially not staying with Cleveland because I think wherever he especially with how comfortable he is there, I could see him walking in and being like, "Hey, I want to resign, but then I need I need like A through J to happen," and then them being like, "Okay." Which isn't necessarily hard because I feel like they kind of did that at the trade deadline this past year already. But I feel like there's so much. Isn't that the opposite of, like, doesn't he want everybody's house to be in order and have their ducks in a row? Like, if he stays in Cleveland, isn't it the opposite of that because he knows the house is fucked?
Well, I bet he feels if he leaves, I feel like if he leaves, he wants some people to make some moves for him before he enters. But with how he is in Cleveland, he knows the situation. He basically can play a little GM. And if he stays, he's like, okay, I can move Kevin. Who can I get? Kind of thing. And if he makes his decision early enough, then he can make that stuff happen.
But isn't it still more complicated to make, like, even though he has the pull or the comfortable factor in Cleveland, isn't it harder to make those moves there than it is for someone else? Like, isn't it easier for, like, I'm just throwing it out, like the Lakers or somebody to be like, well, we're going to sign this guy and do this. Isn't it easier to do that than to be like, well, we'll have to trade Kevin Love, trade this guy, sign this guy, do this? Like, aren't there more moves to be done in Cleveland for him to feel comfortable in Cleveland? Or am I wrong in that?
Okay, it's mainly because the Lakers seem like the destination everybody wants everybody to go to. But because the Spurs Lakers talks have been so poor, if LeBron goes there, how can he force like the Spurs hand? Whereas like if he stays at home, he can clearly force the Cavs hand to like trade Kevin Love, and people want Kevin Love because he's an expiring. And so it just seems a little, I don't know, it just seems a little easier. And
But there's
then
got to
all
be
the
so many more moves.
and all the other people that you have, you know, you've played with, you like, you want on your team. Whereas you go to, let's say, he goes to Lakers, and let's say even Kawhi is there, then you still are working out all these relationships with Kuzma and Lonzo and Randall and all this kind of stuff, and figuring out how things work, which might take like a quarter of the season, a half the season. You maybe some new moves need to be made, stuff like that. You go back to Cleveland, you know exactly what's going on, and maybe make some more moves. I mean, they just made tons of moves.
That's what I'm saying. Don't they have to make more? Isn't it from a complication standpoint? Isn't it? Granted, it has to happen before he would go to somewhere, but isn't it easier for like the Lakers to be like, listen, we're trading this, and this for Kawhi, and that's it. Isn't it easier to like for him to think like, okay, well they're gonna have Kawhi and they're gonna lose these 3 pieces. Okay.
Only if they get Kawhi, or else then it's just
right. But I'm saying if they're gonna, like, I feel like that's like an easier decision for him versus
because there's no way I'm taking that Lakers team with those young parts, and I've never played on, and now I'm in the Western Conference over. Oh, I played with all these guys. I just was in the NBA Finals with this team. And kind of you know what you have. I'm not going to just walk into the unknown.
Yeah, but the goal is still to beat, whether you're in the West or the East, you still got to get through Golden State, and he knows
great,
that.
But get to the yes, but you know what the single greatest argument for LeBron as the best player of all time is that he made it to 8 in a row.
Cool, and he's lost like a bunch of them. He's lost most of them.
Hey, you're not talking to someone who I don't think he's the greatest of all time. I know his record in the finals, but that is an argument as far as stamina goes and as far as like playing goes, and especially on this team, even me, I'm not a big fan of his. This team, dragging that carcass of a team to the NBA Finals is goddamn impressive. The fact that he got them out of the first round against the Pacers,
and they should have won Game 1.
And they should have won Game 1.
Fucking
yes.
JR.
Well,
you can literally see a man. Happens. You saw, like, if you wanted to see somebody like physically die without having them die, just watch like the 2 parts of LeBron in that Game 1 when JR tells him, "I thought we had the lead," and LeBron walks off, and then LeBron asking Ty Lue, like, "Did we have a timeout?" And him telling him, you could just see like the life force like be sucked from LeBron in that moment. Like, I don't like him at all, and I don't think he's the best player of all time. But I felt just so bad for him. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, you dragged this fucking sorry sack of shit to the finals, and you should have won Game 1 on their and the fucking J.R. Smith, of all people too, like, fucking poor guy.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see. We'll see this weekend what happens. I mean, a lot's going to come out, I'm sure, in the next few days. A lot's going to come out this weekend. It is going to be interesting, and we'll all know by July 3rd how it's going to go down, and if that piece gets moved first before or not, that definitely is going to be into it and go into the decision, and we'll just see. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be something to look at this weekend coming up. So a
lot of dominoes, a lot of pieces. Yeah, we'll see what happens over the next coming days, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit after and see what everybody says and reaches out, and yeah, good fucking times.
All right, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, subscribe if you can. We would love it if you could leave a review, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, we're on everything. And hit us up on Instagram. I'm on there all the time. At AA Talk Stuff. Follow us, like us, comment. I will write back all the time. And we'll see you next time.